It's always amazed me in practices, conscious practices of meditation or anything where we take a few moments to center the shift in the body, in the energy and the physicality when we close our eyes. Sometimes it's more profound than others, it's quicker than others, the shift or the softening, the expansive transition from the breath that's in the background to the breath that is everything. And so by shifting into our practice of witness, our practice of observation, where we're relatively still, and perhaps you can begin to already feel the deeper saturation already. This is where much of the guidance comes from. Can you feel the breath in the belly, in the deep belly, in the back of the belly, deep inside the core? Can you feel the breath in the legs and in the pelvis? These common threads are signposts. They're markers that point to ways that we can more powerfully and easily cultivate showing up. And with the movement that we enjoy being so diverse and so powerful and so complex, that we need to keep, this is all pointing to a stronger practice of showing up in the moment, in the engagement. So here as we sit, it's relatively simple. Upright in gravity, pushing the ground down a little bit with the sitting bones and opening the crown to the sky above and filling out the space in this relational field, earth and sky, more consciously. Giving ourselves the opportunity to drop expectations, but also at the same time receive the joy that can bubble up very quickly. It's never really that far away, although sometimes it feels like it's untouchable. The playfulness, the wildness, the curiosity, these things that call us home and keep us grounded and centered in the mix of life. Change the way that you're sitting, your geometry can change, even if it's just a little bit. It helps. It helps add some spice. And enjoy the nature of asymmetry, of the organic openness of asymmetry, the adaptability of asymmetry. Being bipeds and the mammals that we are relatively symmetrical, but in function we are extremely creative and asymmetrical. So if one hip is sitting off the floor like it is for me right now, my left hip is off the ground, enjoy it. So the first movements are already beginning to seep in. There maybe some looking around with the head, maybe a little bit of rocking of the pelvis backwards, forwards, side to side, just very small, kind of feeling into the space and ushering ourselves into the movement. There's so much entanglement typically in the shoulders and the neck that looking around and checking in with the jaw and the tongue and checking in with the shoulders and letting the shoulders roll a little bit with the head, kind of finding the upper body dance is very subtle. I find myself touching the belly often to see how I'm showing up in the belly. Is there a consistent tone or tonality in the weaving of the belly? This is very important and lost in our culture, generalizing, of course. You know, you can go and work on your core, and that's great. But being conscious of it throughout the day is far deeper and challenging. We have to realize that these things want to run on their own. Like, what is your nominal tone throughout the day, your nominal breath awareness? These are integration keys, levels of awareness that are integrated throughout the day, throughout our lives. So start to let the movement open up, and it doesn't matter what it is. Just inviting you more and more, those of you that have been pretty frequently practicing with me, then you're going to see this more and more. These shapes, hear the key of sitting, and your own variations emerging spontaneously. And within the movement, you'll probably change the way you're sitting again. So letting another shift occur in the base geometry of the legs and hips. And that shape change will offer different variations in the movement. Some leg positions are naturally limiting the pelvic movement. Some are going to really open it up. So remember that as you move in the water of your awareness, giving the feedback, right? This viscosity, it feels so good. I don't know about you, but this micro and macro engagement that is throughout every fiber of your being gives this, it's a kind of embrace. It's a kind of hug that is unique in its capacity to be self-aware. It's maybe what we look for when we embrace another human or another furry creature or a tree or a rock. Pushing and pulling means so many things, right? Pushing and pulling without aversion in the push or greed in the pull. We realize that it's that's another way of exploring your environment. So again, I want to really emphasize and support in you a fantastic engagement. You can be very soft and move through this, but you may not be supporting your joints nearly enough. Change the way that you're sitting. So this is just an invitation to open with creativity without the mind of creating anything. And where you're more exposed, like here I am with wide legs, the adductors and the hamstrings are much more exposed, and they need to be on. They need to be really on. Play with the toes, play with the fingers and the wrists, moving mostly either side to side or front to back or combinations of all of that. The last minute here on our own, see if you can move from within the pelvis. So the pelvis is the first impulse, the first translator of energy, of movement, where energy manifests. And it translates down through the legs, through the hips, to the legs, to the feet, to the ground. It all translates down through the sits bones. It also translates upwards and outwards in every direction through the upper tree, all of the spine, torso, upper limb, neck, and head. And you can even consider that upward creative pulse is what's at the root of creativity of the mind, where we usually localize our creativity in the mind, but it's coming from a deeper place. So make your way slowly up to a seat and sit cross-legged with the right leg in front. Give yourself a few sweet moments to just receive all of that, what's been stirred, what is quickening on to any of the good, positive results, qualities, but simply observing everything that feels intuitively supportive of your life. Everything that feels that good, we hold space for by just observing and releasing it, which I find usually perpetuates the experience by not trying to cling to it. The proverbial sand through the fingertips. Otherwise, so you feel the reset has begun, this reorganization of the wild and amazing you. Pushing the sitting bones down is a little easier, and the crown opening upwards a little easier. The kidneys sliding back, so we don't become unhinged at the kidneys, the dorsal hinge. The sweet tone of the belly drawing attention inward and upward. The sits bones pushing down deeper again and again. Shoulders relaxing for all of that support down below. The shoulders open up, the chest more transparent, the upper back is wide. See if you can actually cultivate a way of sitting where the upper back and the chest are equally wide. Where you cannot possibly broaden the chest or the upper back anymore. This is volume in the rib basket of the breath. Try to maintain the volume as you exhale. Really releases the neck, makes it more supple, opens up the cranium. You're doing cranial on yourself right now. Craniosacral synchronicity. That was like 3 minutes of movement. So let's keep going. Let's go ahead and take the legs back out wide again. And knees bent, so you have space under the knees. Toes turning towards the ceiling. And go ahead and roll the pelvis back. Drop your chin to kind of fall out of the chair. Go ahead and roll the legs out. But tone the legs from the feet all the way up through the inner thigh. And just enjoy this for a moment. Right? It's totally not collapsing because you're toned. Turn the buttocks on, the belly on, all of your body. Hold the shape by breathing the shape. And then pulling the ground back with your sits bones. And at the same time as the pelvis leans forward, toes point up. Pull the heels down and lean into it over the top. And then moving side to side. Maybe place your hands, maybe slide the thumbs into the creases of the hips. Or you can take your hands onto the shins and just don't let the legs go all the way straight. You can do that every once in a while. But most of the time the legs are going to be bent to have a little bit of coil available. So you could press the legs straight that you're leaning away from. Try that a few times. But do not collapse into the back of the knee. So there's a very conscious strength that must be present when you straighten the leg in a forward bend, when you're opening the back of the leg. So turning the hamstrings on as the leg straightens. Turning the calf, you just continue to pull the heels down into the ground, you'll be fine. Moving side to side. Lengthening the leg you're leaning away from. Bending the leg you're leaning into. Now where you feel the side belly, maybe you're feeling the side belly on the back open up when you lean to one side. You're going to tone that as well. And if it's hard to tone the back side belly, you need to turn your buttocks on. So firing the right buttocks when you lean to your left. Firing the left buttocks when you lean to your right, or just keep them on all the time. Just another 20 seconds, everyone. Now stay forward, let the legs turn out, but continue side to side. You're going to feel change in the hamstrings. The lateral hamstring is going to be talking to you when you lean to one side. So keep pulling, pushing the outer right heel and left heel down into the ground. The legs are going to be a little straighter here. Do something different with your toes and with your neck. Stay very strong as you come back up. And take your hands and grab onto the inner knees with your fingertips and bring the legs in nice and easy into a cross-legged seat. Take the left leg in front. Again, witnessing, which is meaning that we're feeling. We may also have visuals, tastes, all of the sensory possibilities. Notice how expansive the lower half of the body may feel, the widening of the root space, the deepening of the root space, while the pelvic floor actually floats. And you might feel this in the soft palate and the hard palate at the top of the mouth. The correspondence, the parallel pelvic floor and the cranial diaphragm. Now, let's rock side to side for a little bit. And we often do this, leaning side to side. And with the left leg in front, you're probably going to feel it more in the left hip when you lean to your right. But you want to be strong and keep it slow, keep it saturated by breath, without putting the hands down on the floor quite yet. Just allow the pelvis to kind of add a little bit of a forward-back rocking, so there's an elliptical path now of the pelvis. So you come across from one side to the other, and you might be leaning way onto the front of the sits bones or way onto the back of the sits bones. But slow hula hooping, keeping the torso fabric really strong throughout. Let the head look about slowly, exploring your environment, trying different things. The shoulders also pushing and pulling within themselves. The arms swimming. Don't ever let this become trivial. Don't become complacent in how so much is here to be experienced. The technique is just human movement. Now what we're going to do is put the right hand down just behind you and set the left leg, and then turn slowly all the way around to your right through a combination of squats that go from asymmetrical all the way around to asymmetrical, and then continue to sit, turning to the right, and you'll end up with your right leg in front. And continue to move in this side-to-side orbital way. Now try to involve more of the body that you may not feel it needs to, like the chest and the shoulders and the side body. The side body is receiving a stretch a little bit when you move. This is mostly pelvic work, but be more inclusive in what's showing up, what's not. You start to understand as you find your dance and your rhythm, the essence, the impulse behind so many beautiful practices like dance itself, of course, but the more sort of systematic the practices of Qigong, Tai Chi, Kung Fu. Tai Chi is a form of Kung Fu. But you start to feel that energy is moving you, and you're meeting it. You're allowing it to articulate in ways that are spontaneous. Look up every once in a while, find your back bend, the extension of the spine. Really work. Till so engaged you can be that you start to shake. Legs, belly, buttocks, the upper body. Now, here's what we're going to do. With the right leg in front, you're going to turn to your left, set your left hand down behind you, and come into an asymmetrical squat, right foot leading. And then turn just a quarter turn to your left, and lift the hips and come into a fold. So in the fold, move side to side as well, and continue with the orbital shape of the path that your pelvis is making. So projecting the sitting bones down onto the ground, make an elliptical shape or something that is not a linear path, even though there's nothing wrong with that. And go ahead and straight away open up the footwork. So we very quickly get into the shape keys of folding, and then extensions of folding are when you turn to one side, a quarter turn to one side, and you end up in a crouch. Here's the asymmetrical stance, this key of crouch. Very interrelated with fold. It is a kind of fold. You can also drop the hips closer to the ground and interweave the squats. Turning from side to side as you need to intuitively to take care of yourself, so that you need to balance your system. You don't burn one side for too long. You'll end up fatiguing and then you're unsupported. Try long legs. Try very, very bent legs. Try moving the feet around in different ways. So instead of just pivoting from side to side, take a step. Take the back foot in front. Just get very familiar with moving around on the earth. This combination of folding, crouching, and squatting. Putting the hands down on the earth, taking more weight onto the hands. More deliberately pushing into the planet with your hands and your feet. You should feel like you're totally getting revved up. You're being fully awakened at this point. And all of the therapy in the joints, all of the tracking you must do, pointing the knees and the same side feet in the same direction. Never taking our knees for granted. Beautiful. Now, you start to walk around on hands and feet. So it's basically a kind of a high crawl. And you take your hands, palms down, and you want to straight away notice if there's room underneath the index finger. Grab one with your fingertips, push down to the groove of the index and thumb, and then walking the hands around, feet around, letting the head hang down off the spine, and let the head look around as you monkey your way in creative ways. And you're going to start to combine all kinds of things where there's a squat that comes in. There's a leg coming off the ground. You'll cross the midline with the hands and sometimes the feet. Well, I meant to say with the legs and sometimes with the hands. Much more common in the legs to cross the midline. So this is your own thing. This is your own creative exploration. Really work, load the hands and load the feet. It's the load that is so conscious. Using gravity. Just kind of crawling around. Last 30 seconds, everyone. Coming down to a seat in time. Lie down on your back. Watch your breath and don't try to do anything with it, but simply observe it. And can you bravely give it as much room as it needs to? Give the heart as much room as it needs to, just to be stimulated, to be source charged. And also cultivating a subtle discernment in the body of any kind of edge that you can release through allowance. But first we have to recognize the edge. And maybe it's showing up more clearly like in a joint or in a muscular space. or an internally a visceral space, but can we just observe, and through observation, we start to have choice. The choice to let go, but only of what we really don't need to carry forward. So there's this distillation of clarity. Now, like me, you're probably also continuing to move. There's a little bit of, like, the legs are out long, and maybe the legs are turned out like you're in like a shavasana, but then the pelvis start to push your body against the earth and move freely in this key of supine. We spend so much of our life in unconsciously because of sleep. You walk the feet in or play with lifting the pelvis, which is what I want to invite you to do here is get into some extension. So it's a little bit of back bending. It doesn't matter what it looks like as long as it works for you. And the common denominators, okay, are going to really focus on working the lift of the pelvis by pulling the shoulders and the feet down into the ground. This is a pull, a functional primal pull. Function key of pulling. So we pull using the hamstrings and buttocks and spinalis. We pull down to the ground. Try extending one leg in your bridge. Go up and down, move side to side. You can land, you can roll. You can try turning one leg out or turning one leg in. But mostly what we lack is the organization, the orchestration of pulling the ground down with the shoulders. That's where we culturally tend to be a little lost. So pulling down to the ground. Really exploring the power of the back chain. This is bladder, and it's about boundaries and release and letting go and clearing our history. Now let yourself settle. Let yourself settle. Take the legs out long. Once again, drop into the sweet practice of witnessing and feeling everything that is so abundant. Also, the complement to that abundance is all of the sweetness of the hollow, of the void. So we want to associate here in this context with the void. We want to associate with the spaciousness and the chargelessness, which is the field of potentiality. What is possible? And bending the knees, walk the feet in. And in a different way than usual, come up to a seat. Very nice. Fantastic. Let's come up to standing, everyone. Take your time, up to standing. Okay, so there's a good bit of leg work today, so I hope you have brought your legs with you. Look down at your feet. We're just going to warm up a little bit and take the feet parallel, as always. So this is neutral. We love neutral because neutral has no story in the hips and the knees, although the knees take longer. And we're going to drop the right foot back a little bit. And as you do so, and this is in the martial arts too, you see it a lot as you drop your gravity center, so you coil. You drop the right foot back and coil. And there's your cat stance. Even if you don't know cat stance, it's just an asymmetrical stance on the back leg. The right leg is turned out. And then you're going to rock forward and back. And when you rock onto the left leg, the front leg, pick up the right foot for a moment. And then rock back and drop down even further, working the right leg. It's important to point the right thigh and the foot in the same direction when they're loaded. So once again, dropping back onto the back leg, moving in water. Step forward onto the left leg, but this time perch just on the left leg balance, and just touch the right toes with the ball of the right foot behind you and lean back a little bit and look to your left. And don't hold it, pulse in it, move a little bit in it. So you might dip a little bit further back and then come up slightly, and then looking forward, drop back onto the right leg and cat again. And rock forward onto the left leg, but without the twist or the back bend. Rock back, so on your own, to cat on the right leg loading, sitting down in it, and then standing forward onto the left leg and balance. So try this, rock back onto the right leg, pick up the left foot, and step forward onto the left leg, balance, and swing the right leg forward. Do that a few times. Sit back on the right leg, cat stance. Pick up the left foot, step forward onto the left leg, swing the right leg somewhere different each time. One more time, rock back, go slower now, slower, pick up the left foot, step forward onto the left leg really slow, swing the right leg forward. Good, now stand up, look down, go neutral again, zero rotation. Feel all the connections. Maybe you can connect the right temple down to the right foot. Maybe you can connect the right temple down to the left foot or the left kidney. So good, everyone. So dropping the left foot back and getting into that initial cat space. Step forward onto the right leg. Do this several times on your own. Dropping back. So consciously loading it, and this is a very beautiful practice of healing the knees, the hips, and the ankles when you point the knees where the feet are looking, and you can feel it even without looking. Often when we load the leg, we have the knee pointing one direction and the foot pointing another, and it's not sustainable in a dynamic environment like this. Okay, now rock back onto your left leg into your cat stance, and you're going to step forward onto your right leg and balance, just touching the ball of the left foot or the toes of the left foot. Lean back, keep most of the weight on the front leg by moving the hips far more in front. And then as you look up, you can look down, look around over the right shoulder. And see if you can balance and kind of pulse a little bit deeper into the back bend and less, and then a little bit shallow in the back bend, sort of coming down and up. One more time, and then as you come up, look down for balance, drop back on your left leg, cat stance. And start picking up the right foot. Step forward on the right leg, and swing the left leg out in front. Do it again. So falling back into cat. Some different movement in this class. Forward balance on the right leg and your slow kick. Slow now, slow it down. Drop back into cat. This is just a warm up. Come forward, balance on your right leg and kick. Good. Stand up, look down, which is very grounding. Look down, see where you're at. Feet are parallel, zero rotation. Happy pelvis. Let the breath be as open as it needs to be. And so cultivating breath in the back of the body, closer to the sacrum and the tail, closer to the lumbar and the kidney space, behind the heart, behind the lungs, the tree of life is within us, but it's also behind us, holding us. So many pairs of wings, from heels, tail, sacrum, all the way up to the occiput. So take the feet just a little bit further apart, bend the knees a lot like you're going to sit in a chair, come down to the key of folding again. Put the palms down on the ground and do your own thing for about half a minute. So slow, strong, like, drop your head. You almost always find yourself looking forward, which in this case would be looking down. But if you can drop the back of the head away from the shoulder blades and let the head look around, pushing the hands and the feet into the ground as we did before. We're going to open up into bigger stances here. So as you move side to side and you let your feet break loose, okay, you start to come into a combination of folding. You turn to one side like we did earlier, you're in a crouch, and the crouch is now going to get longer until you'll turn to one side and that crouch will morph into the shape of a lunge, the key of lunging. Now a lunge and a crouch are very close together. The lunge is more describing the deep bend of the front knee, the length of the back leg, even though all of these variations exist. Turning around when you need to, also dropping squats or any kind of transitional balancing shapes. The key of squatting is great here. And we hold these shapes loosely. You do not need to define them beyond what your joints are teaching. So once again, we're combining in folding, combining the subsets of crouch, lunge, squat, but bigger stances. Grab on with your toes and your fingertips. Dig into the clay. Where you feel the stretch, be very strong. And having a seat. In time. Yum. Everybody always comes out of that combination with really wild hair. I love it. Savage. Savages. Just observe, everyone. Sit and enjoy the infinite landscape. One of the metaphors of our practice is to choose consciously to recreate the intensity and the edge of life, which of course is coexisting with the beauty and all of the miracles and the gifts and the mystery. So what you're feeling, what you might be feeling right now, hold that in a space of, wow, okay, yes, maybe I'm a little bit more prepared to meet a strong moment. So the mind training is a cellular awakening. The last bit, the mind training is really a cellular awakening. I think that's what I said. Okay, so we're going to get into a couple of sequences here. But first, let's do a little bit of, I've been enjoying dropping in a few of the yoga shapes and really deeply engaging them. So what we're going to do is actually cross the right knee over the left knee, like you would in cow face pose. And, tying the knees deeply without force, getting them to stack as much as you can. And straight away, as you lace your fingertips around the front of the right knee and kind of gently pull against the knee, not to pull the chest forward, but to let the pelvis have a little assist in sitting up more. In other words, the sitting bone's pulling back behind you and then letting the belly gather itself towards the spine. Now, the front leg, the right leg, you're going to push the outer edge of the right foot down. The right knee presses down into the left, the right hip sinking towards the floor without having to reach the floor. So there's this deep planetary push through the right lateral leg, lateral being the outer panel or farther away from the midline. Then keep all of that and then take the left foot and press the left foot down, the left shin and knee and the left hip into the ground. So both of the legs are pressing into the planet with pretty much everything you have. So what you've done is you've activated the hips in the medial rotation that's not going anywhere, and the sits bones are pulling back, the buttocks are on, the belly is scooped hollow to the back. And then within all of that, you're going to lean into it. But you have to be strong enough to avoid the stretch. So try this. Pull against the knee with the hands. Gathering the shoulder blades together on your back. Pull the belly back, kidneys back. Rounding the spine. Broaden the chest. As you pull against the knee, let the knee resist and push towards the earth, equal to each other. So you have this entire global engagement that is shivering in a very positive way. Everything in nature is vibrating. Everything in existence is resonant. Turn everything on. You feel no stretch, just this vibratory, dynamic, soften the eyes, this experience of deep. Keep it. Keep all of that strength as you come back up. As you come back up. Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. Now just let your legs unravel in front of you. Then sit cross-legged with the left leg in front. Take the left ankle up onto the right knee. Now this is very, very important. The bottom foot is not stacked under the left knee. It is tucked in right up against the left buttocks, but don't sit on the heel. All you're going to do is sit up and push the left foot a little bit past the knee. You're going to start pushing the left ankle down. Go slow. Go in pulses. The pulse being you're going to add a little bit more, and then you're going to add a little bit more. It's like laying on clay. Pressing the left ankle more and more down into the right knee. And then lace your fingers around the outer left knee and pull gently up against the knee as the knee pushes down even more. Now this is all we're doing. Okay? Now imagine moving your left heel further and further to the right without it going anywhere, the inner heel. Pulling against the knees, sinking the knee into the hands, pressing the left ankle down onto the right knee. Your back is engaged, everything is on, loosen the brow, lean a little bit sideways towards your left knee. Pulling on the knee resisting. Keep the hands around the knee, lean a little bit towards your right knee, across the midline. All of this still very engaged, everyone. And then coming back up and let it all come apart. Not literally, but let it all sprawl out from you. Turn the legs out. Lay your hands on your inner thighs. Lay your hands on your inner thighs. And let the thumbs be very close to the creases of the hips and the groin. And in your mind's eye, as you sit up high in the sits bones, find the connection between the right inner thigh, where your right hand is resting, and your left kidney. And let that diagonal connection breathe. You might make it bigger than that. It could be the entire right inseam of the leg and the whole left side of the torso. Try to feel the connection between the sole of the right foot and the left temple. See if you can keep that open and now connect subtly the connection between the left hand, the left inner thigh, and the right kidney. The inhalation provides an opportunity for the left adductors and the right kidney to take a little space from each other in a positive way. You say those words, take space from each other, it brings up all of that stuff. I have to take some space, and that's okay. This is more about biogeographical, biodynamic, bioenergetic connection. Left inner thigh to right kidney. Or left inseam to right torso, left foot to right temple. And as just a bit of an experiment, see if you can follow your inhalation up the inseams of both legs to the opposing kidneys. When you exhale, let it all out, but continue connecting inseams to opposing kidneys. Beautiful. Lean back onto your hands. Cross the left knee over the right knee. So what we're doing is applying fabulous, deep pendiculation, global articulation, global tone, to these jewels from the yoga practice of Gomukhasana and ankle over knee. So interlace the hands around the top knee and establish first, just don't do anything with the pull push yet. Find your left leg, one on top, and push the outer edge of the left foot down into the ground. The left knee pressing down to the right knee, and the left hip sinking, sitting higher on the left sitting bone. Add to that, pressing the right leg down, foot, shin, knee, hip, this downward, adding to gravity. And then from here, pull against the top knee, but push the knee into the hands, the left knee into the palms. And within all of that, leaning forward. You must be able to cultivate your wild primal strength that is not an intermittent thing. It is persistent, consistent, powerful in its vibration, in its intention to celebrate life. Try turning your head to the right and then to the left. Keep the tone. You should be really feeling a lot of work in the legs, the left leg especially. Come on up, nice and slow. Oh, easy, smooth release of the power as you untangle your legs. Take your legs out in front of you. Take a moment. Put the fingertips on the floor on either side of the pelvis and rock side to side. Just kind of easing any residual tensions out. Close the eyes. Beautiful. And now, bring the left leg in close underneath. Left foot just up against the right buttocks. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Now, interlace the fingers around the right knee. And you're going to kind of lean a little bit against the knee, like lean back into the left. And so establishing the most vital part is to push the right ankle down into the left knee internally. Push the left foot, left ankle down into the ground. The buttocks should turn on, and if they're not, add to that if you can. Pull against the knee and push the knee down into the hands. Keep all of this tensegrity connection, all of this tone, everything interconnected. And we're going to lean a little bit towards the right knee, pulling ourselves in. Keep pushing the knee down and pull with the back against the knee. And while you're here, keep everything but sweep the upper body to the left, leaning out to the left shoulder, looking down over the right foot on top of the left knee, pushing that ankle down a little more. Try to draw the inner thighs away from each other as you come up. And slowly release. Come lying down on your back for a few moments before we move into the two sequences to finish class. as you are supine, and allow the pelvis to really breathe, opening the pelvic floor to the abundance of the potential energy that flows up the midline, and allowing that energy to have full access to the deep sacral pelvis and the deep lumbar spine, so that there's every chance that the present moment can manifest as it wants to, as it needs to. This is a very quantum reality. I believe that quantum mechanics is at the heart of the machinations of consciousness. And what I like to call the quantum threshold, or the quantum interface, is right now, in any present moment, when you are feeling at the subtlest level. You're feeling the energy of life moving through you. You're actually allowing for creation to continue without getting in its way. And it takes a certain kind of trust, a certain kind of connection to your essence, to your origin, to be able to allow for that. So where science has known for a long time that when the scientist is seeking to know the outcome of the experiment, that changes the outcome of the experiment, because at the quantum realm, the quantum threshold, the tiny subtle particles that are moving through everything beyond space and time need the opportunity to have choice, to become matter or to stay energy. Or maybe they can be both at the same time. That requires total transparency on behalf of the observer. Whoa, wow, where did that come from? Okay, everyone, so we're going to come up to standing. Now, you know what? Just sit. Just come up to sitting. We'll do this one first. Let me adjust the camera for our friend Hope. Okay, great. Here we go. So start sitting with the right leg in front. Okay, let me show this first because it's a little tricky. Go like that. See if that'll work. The idea is to transition. So let me just show. I'm going to turn to my left and move through an asymmetrical squat. Okay, but as soon as I do, I don't even want to get to the squat. I want to take my left foot off the floor as soon as possible. So right there. And then fire the left leg back. And then continue like kind of a half moon as you stand up and bend the leg. And you turn carefully 90 degrees to your left to finish in a stance that, seen from the front, you're laterally rotated. And then we're going to turn in and fold, which is incredibly intense. Okay, and then we're going to turn out again and squat. So that's the beginning of the sequence, all right? So here we go. Right leg is in front. And you're going to turn to your left, put your left hand down, set your right leg. And as you turn a quarter turn to your left, make sure you're turning your right leg with the spine as you fly your left leg back, right up into the sky, taking the left leg up. The right leg still bent. Keep the standing leg bent. As you stand, hook your left foot around behind you, turning another quarter turn to your left and landing, standing with the legs turned out. Now, while you're up here, turn the legs in and slowly fold, coming down, touching the fingertips to the floor if possible. You can rock forward and back. It'll give you a little more context for the availability of this. Now turn the legs out and drop into a squat with the right leg in front, the frog legs, so this lateral asymmetrical squat. Okay, now what we're going to do is basically lift the hips and hop your left leg over across the midline behind you. Turn the feet parallel and you're in a crossing crouch, right leg over left. And move around in this, mostly the hips moving on a diagonal path between over the feet, over the ankles. Yeah. Now, if you take your back leg and uncross and walk to your left with your hands, walking right into a crouch with the left leg leading, and move around. Now the back leg, the right leg is going to be a little tired from what we just did. So find creative variations in your crouch to alleviate, if you can, some of the residual tension in the right quads, right leg. Okay, now we're going to do this fun little thing. And I'm serious, it's actually fun. Put your hands down inside or to the right of your left foot. And slide your left leg underneath you into a cross plank. Then what we're going to do is take the right leg and step over the top and kind of start walking. Seen from above, counterclockwise walking. One foot over the other, the left foot slides up underneath in front. And then when your right foot is in front, go into a regular plank. And what we're going to do is turn the hips to the left and drop the right hip almost to the floor. Arms straight. And then come back up. Go slow. Turn the hips to the right. Bring the left hip down close to the floor. The feet turn to the right. And come back up. Go back and forth on your own for 10 minutes. Breathe. Breathe. Be very conscious of the low belly, staying close to the sacrum. The low front ribs, staying close to the kidneys. The next time that your right hip comes down to the floor, fold that right leg underneath you and just have a seat. And the left leg in front. Get back on camera. Okay. Beauty. So, you're going to turn to your right, set your left leg, and as you do so, point the left toes 90 degrees to your right. Press into the right hand, both hands lift, fly the right leg straight back. Lift the right leg up as you stand, keep the standing knee bent, and turn out to the left. Hook the right foot around behind you, and stand another quarter turn to your right. The legs are turned out. Then turn the legs in and fold down. Touching the fingertips out in front of you, rocking forward and back with the knees turned in towards the midline. Feet too. Then turn the legs out, drop into an asymmetrical squat. Left foot is in front. And as you lift your hips, kick your right leg across the midline behind you, crossing in crouch. Moving, finding what's possible. And then, so walking forward and to your right, bring the right foot out in front and crouch. Right leg leading. Now I'm shuffling around for the screen, but you orient however you need to. As long as the right leg is forward and crouch, you're good. Now put both hands down inside or to the left of your right foot. Pass the right leg underneath, crossing his flank. Then balance on your right hand, turning to your left. You can also have both hands down, and you basically just walk the left foot over the top, the right leg underneath. Keep going. Keep the hips lower if you like. Okay, and then full plank. And once again, lower the left hip towards the center line, turning the toes to the right. Come back up. Try not to spill. If this is in your low back, your belly is not engaged enough. You may not also be strong enough. So be careful with this. Go slow. Turning and dipping in the plank. Okay. The next time your left hip touches the floor or comes close, go ahead and fold that left leg and sit. You turn to your right, bring back Sitting with the right leg in front. Pause for peace, for spaciousness, for life. Be very skilled at release so we don't cling to anything, positive or not. So if we can do this sequence one more time, then we'll move on to the final phase. So right leg is in front again. You're going to turn to your left. Fly your left leg out behind you, kind of like a half moon, taking the leg up. As you stand, hook the left foot behind you. You're going to turn to your left, another quarter turn, and land standing with the legs turned out. Now turn the legs in and fold, which was probably a little more available to you now. Rocking forward and back is really fantastic, keeping the toes and the knees looking towards the midline, across the midline. And then turning the legs out, dropping into a squat on the left heel, right foot in front, asymmetrical lateral. So putting your hands on the floor, you can move around a little bit in this. And then we're going to lift the hips and slide the right foot over to our right behind us. I'm sorry, the left foot crosses behind you over the midline. Right leg over in front, crossing in the crouch. Now here's the variation you can do. You can put your hands down, mostly the left hand. You bend your back knee into the front knee, turn your feet to the right, and you can roll almost to this kind of position here where you're almost in a squat. So you come up like this, right leg up, crossing the left. Back knee touches in behind. Pivot to the right, lean on the left hand, and roll that left quad and left IT bend. One more time. Just optional. Left leg gets long. Okay, then as you come up, turn to your left a little, uncross, take the left leg out in front, crawling slowly into the crouch. Moving. Wow. Set both hands down to the right of your left foot. Slide the right leg back and the left leg underneath into a cross plank. Balance on your left hand. Your left foot is in front at first, then step the right foot out in front over the top. Left foot forward again, turning on your hands as you go. Right leg forward. Go into plank. And then rotate as you drop. Either way. Try to turn everything on for this. What's probably not on the buttocks and the belly can more deeply hollow. Try to land the hips closer to the midline when you turn them. The next time your right hip comes close, go ahead and fold the right leg out of seat and wrap the left leg in front as you do. See the hair? See? Just Chewbacca sequence. Okay. So just a moment, we'll do the other side. So really yummy canvas to take in. Painting of the moment. Okay, here we go, my friends. Turn to your right, a quarter turn. Set the left leg, fly the right leg back in space, up into the sky. As you come up and stand, bend the right knee, the right foot hooks behind you. You turn a quarter turn to your right again, and you're standing with the legs turned out. And you turn those legs in consciously from the hips. Fold down, left leg is leading, medially rotated, fold, baby crouch. Turn the legs out, drop into a squat. Asymmetrical, lateral, meaning the knees are out, the feet are out. Put the hands on the floor. I like to take the forearms against the inner legs and rock side to side, toning everywhere I feel exposed. And then from here, lifting the hips, hop the right foot back across the midline, left leg crossing the right leg in your crotch, crossing, relax the membrane between the hemispheres of the brain. Relax all of the individual chambers in the heart. You want to do that variation, put your right hand down, you tuck your right knee in behind, you pivot to your left and extend the right leg out behind you. So it looks like this. Here, you bring your back knee into your front knee, put the right hand down and slide the right leg off behind you. We're going to exit to the right and forward, uncrossing. Right leg crawls out in front of the crouch. Both hands to the floor, inside, or to the left of your right foot. Slide your right leg underneath. Weight on the right hand, turn to your left in a side plank. Step the left foot out in front, hips lower. Right foot out in front. Left leg out in front, and plank. Turning the hips as you drop either side, but the hips drop towards the center line. So the feet pivot with the lower body. Toes to the right as your left hip comes close. Toes to the left as your right hip comes down. Close. One more. And the next time your left hip comes close to the ground, fold the left leg underneath you and sit right leg in front. Give the heart space to thunder, to roll. Deep drum. Relax the kidneys. Backwards, sit higher in the sits bones. Beautiful, everyone. Just come up to standing. Do one more little sort of kung fu sequence. Inspiration. Let me adjust the camera. So this is going to be a little bit like a form practice. Cut the form practice. You're going to start neutral stance. Okay, now, so coiling, again, this is a slight bend of everything, and you drop down a little bit. So you come down into the core. Shift your weight over to your right leg, and slowly pick up the left knee in front of you. Pick it up as high as you can, and then slowly put it down a little bit further out to your left. Shift your weight over to your left leg, but turn your feet a little to the right. And you're going to pick up your right knee, looking off to your right, chambering like from a cat stance. And slowly set that right foot down and take a bigger step. Then, forward into your left, cat stance, left foot leading. Look down at the floor, slide your left foot behind you, crouch, right leg leading. Yeah. Now, quarter turn to your left. You're going to drop into a side squat on your right leg. The left knee a little bit. Pull the back of the left heel down to the ground. Then from here, turning towards your left foot, climb out into a long crouch and slide the right leg back into a lunge, a shape of lunging. Bend the back knee, stand up, take your right arm to the sky. Turn all the way around to your right. And like warrior two legs, lean out over the right leg, arms down by your sides, the back heel off the ground, the left knee unlocked, bending the right more. Then from here, bend the back knee into a crouch. And then without the hands, you're going to step forward, balancing the entire time. Pick up your left knee. And a little bit of a turn to the left. And set the left foot down where you started. And pause. Take the feet closer together. Drop in, coil. Balance on your left leg. Pick up your right knee. Widening the stance in slow motion as you set the right foot back down. Then as you rock over to the right leg, turn your toes a bit to the left. Look to your left, a quarter turn. Pick up the left leg, chambering. And then taking a bigger step forward with the left leg. Good. Now, look off to your front and right. So right foot slides forward into a cat stance. Just taking a step, basically. Look down. Slide your right foot behind you into a crouch. Left leg leading. Move around here for a minute. Quarter turn to your right, dropping into a side squat over the left leg. Turn towards the right foot. Climb out into a long crouch that slides, back foot slides into a lunge. And then standing, pick up the left arm, wheel it across the sky as you turn around to your left, setting up like warrior two legs, leaning in over the left leg like side angle, the back heel leaving the floor, the back knee unlocked. Look down, take a big step, balancing on the left leg, pick up the right knee, chamber, 45-degree turn to your right, step down, and return. Self-regulate through self-release. Any residual tension, like for example in the neck, in the hips, in the shoulders, the chest. Give the breath of life plenty of room to roll through you. Let's do this sequence one more time. Balancing on the right leg, shifting very consciously. Pick up the left knee. And sweep the left leg over to the left, landing parallel, shifting your weight onto your left leg, turning your feet a little to the right. Pick up the right knee and quarter turn to the right, chambering. A big slow step forward, put the foot down. Then take a step forward with your left leg and a little off to your left for cat stance, deepening into the bend of the right knee. And then from here, look down and slide your left leg back into a crouch, right leg lead. Quarter turn to your left, side squat over the right leg. Remember to point the right thigh and toes in the same direction. Look towards the left leg, climb out into a long crouch that opens up to a lunge. Left leg is leading, of course. We're going to stand and reach the right arm to the sky. Turn around to the right. 180. Leaning in over that side lunge. Look down, take a step forward, balancing on the right leg, pick up the left knee. Quarter turn to your left, put the foot down and return. Pause, unlock the knees, straight away. Grab onto the ground gently with the toes. Okay, feet closer together. Shifting your weight onto your left leg. Pick up the right knee. As high as you can, make a teardrop shape as you put the right foot back down on your right side, a little wider stance. Shift over to the right leg. Turn a little to the left. Pick up the left knee. Take a step forward onto the left foot, left leg, and then there's your path forward and to your right for your cat stance. Slow. Good. Looking down. Drop gaze. Slide the right leg back into a crouch. Left leg leading. Turn a quarter turn to your right, dropping into a side squat on the left leg. Turning towards your right leg. Careful with the back knee, climbing out to a lone crouch. Turns into a lunge. We're going to stand, reach the left arm. Turning around 180 to the left, leaning in over the left leg, like side angle, like warrior two. Opening the stance up, unlocking everything, look down, and then without touching the back floor, hop the right foot, hover, balance on the left leg, pick up the right knee. It's like a 45-degree turn to your right, and set the right leg down, correct your feet. Parallel, pause. And coming down consciously, don't crash, come down to a seat, and lying down on your back, everyone. Yeah, resting. Just as the opening moments of centering and the first meditation are so vital, so is this time of integration, which we've been doing throughout the class. But this is this is a very conscious space that you choose. The choice is in witnessing. Witnessing is its own kind of participation. Allowing consciousness to observe itself, to experience itself in you. As always, please take your time in a very conscious transition. Cultivating the space that you're in now, integrating that with the rest of your day. Oh, so much gratitude, everyone. Stay awake, stay clear, stay in your practice. Much love and blessings. Enjoy your day.